I really, really like to talk, and that is probably why I was chosen to do this today. Although I think deaf culture and accessibility are interesting, I keep pushing myself to do better and better at signing because I can't shut up. As you could tell from the video, our teacher is deaf. Miss Maria is really deaf. When I say deaf, she can't hear a single thing. That's a problem for me because I have ideas, and I want Miss Maria to hear every single one of my ideas. Larger than that, I want the whole deaf community to understand me. Like learning any other language, I want to communicate with people I never thought I could communicate with before. I initially picked this elective because my teacher told me I'd be interested. Unlike some kids in my class, I have no relatives or relations to the deaf community at all. However, when I would see a deaf event being interpreted or deaf people out in the community, I'd always be interested in what they were saying. I gave the class a shot and turned out being pretty good at it. I even picked up night classes at Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf because ASL isn't easy. Remember how I said I can't shut up? Well, I voice and sign. I physically can't shut off my voice and just use my hands. I'm not sure if you know, but ASL and English aren't the same language. This is a problem for me. My next goal for myself is to work on my ASL grammar and to close my mouth. I've noticed in my classmates that those you would think are good at sign aren't necessarily the best. For instance, the academically advanced kids aren't as great at sign language because they're always worried about being correct. But those who aren't as academically advanced are better at signing because they're not worried about asking questions or being wrong. For the sake of this presentation, I consider myself both, academically advanced and good at signing. Lastly, ASL has opened up some potential career opportunities for me, such as hearing and deaf services, interpreting, and special ed and deaf education.
I'm the opposite of Amanda. I'm not a visual learner, but deafness is more than signing, which is good, because I'm not the best signer in the class. Actually, I've learned from taking this class, I'm not really a language person at all. I should stick to English. I picked up on this class my freshman year my sophomore year because I failed French my freshman year. Not to mention the fact that my mom is basically fluent in ASL from working at the School for the Deaf. She may have made me take this class. My mom working in the deaf community has taught me that deaf people are the same as hearing people, except they just can't hear. Before I started taking this class, I was very awkward around the deaf community. I would actually hide behind my mom to avoid the communication. Looking back now, I probably looked like a rude little kid. But really, I was just trying to avoid offending them because I didn't know how to communicate with them. Regardless if you know how to sign, all you really need is a little patience. I've decided there are 3 things hearing people should know not to do when communicating with a deaf person, and 3 things to do. 1, screaming at them isn't going to make them hear you. If they read lips, speak normally and don't turn your head away. 2, look at them. Deaf people depend on eye contact and facial expression. You'd be surprised what you can communicate with a deaf person without knowing a single sign. 3, don't run away. Hearing people tend to get really awkward around deaf people and sometimes run away. If you aren't understanding one another, get a pen and a piece of paper and try writing back and forth to one another. Even if I don't continue with deaf studies or ASL after high school, this course has taught me how to interact and communicate with people who communicate differently than me. We are only 2 voices from Propel Braddock High School. Before we close, some of our classmates would like to share what they have learned from the ASL program.
Molly.
Jeff.
Avery. Yeah.
Tony.
Tiana. Stephanie.
Scott.
Autumn. Mary. Jenna.
Austin.
Tyler.
Alex.
Atlanta. Kayla. Jessica. Aisha.
Ben. Mr. Oliver.
Devontae.
Renee. Sydney. Ebony. Amanda. Dewana. Crystal.
Zach. Carrie.
Well, sign language has helped me even kind of learn more about my own language in English and how we can communicate not just with our voices, but with our hands and our expressions, and how that can actually be really helpful in case if I ever do communicate with a deaf person.
I think it's great because if I'm going on a job interview, then I can say I have a skill set that not many people have. Especially if I want to become a doctor, then a doctor that can work with deaf people is a very valuable skill set because there aren't a lot of doctors that are hearing but can speak ASL.
I was at a concert once and I seen two people transitioning back and forth between, what is it called?
Interpreting?
Yeah, interpreting sign language to a deaf crowd. And it was really amazing and different. And I thought to myself, that's something that I could see myself doing.
ASL important? Absolutely. Why? Well, Propel kids are incredibly eager to learn ASL. For what you might ask, well, they have different ways. It's obviously for their future. ASL has a future. For example, doctors or teachers. You become a teacher for deaf kids. Or an interpreter, maybe. There's different types of interpreters, a phone interpreter, or a doctor's interpreter, or a legal interpreter. There's tons of different things that deaf actually need. It's good that they have an idea for their future. It's good.
I've learned a new language and it helped me communicate with one of my deaf family members. And it also made me a career path for when I graduate. I learned that having a deaf teacher is like really cool and that you have to not take life so fast and you have to really slow down with things because otherwise they won't understand you and you won't understand them. And you have to become patient.
For one, I think it's an excellent thing for the students to be exposed to. They're learning to be advocates for deaf people in the community. They're learning about the culture. Pretty much they're excited about what they're learning. And it's a new skill set that they're not used to, that they're really uncovering and they're really liking it. So I would say among the things that it's created a different culture around Propel Braddock Hills, and the students, they're really excited to be learning something unique.
Thank you.